So far, I've been showing you examples with just one properties files, and that's pretty rare within a large enterprise class application in Spring. You're going to have lots of properties files. And there's a couple different ways we can manage these. I'm going to show you two different ways that we can manage multiple property files when we're dealing with that in a Spring configuration. So I'm going to jump over to IntelliJ and show you that now. Okay, I've expanded upon our test. I'm still using the fake JMS broker that we've been using for the other examples. And what I want to point out to you is on line 14, the property source annotation can actually take a list of values. So what I've done there, you can see the curly bracket and then the two property files I've set up. And I'm going after a scenario here where we have our properties, but we want an encrypted password. So sometimes you'll do that. So I added this new file here with a fake encrypted password. This is just one example. Another thing that you might want to do is have a properties file for functional things. You might want to have a properties file for a JMS broker, another properties file for database connection, another properties files for URLs. So sometimes you start breaking things out into functionality, and then that'll allow you to mix and match things in your configuration. So it's going to be how you divide up your property files is going to be driven by your functional needs as well. So let's go over here, and I'm going to show you the test for that. Now, again, I'm asking for a different configuration file. So when I run this test, we can see that things will wire up and run correctly. I've got my encrypted password there, and he runs happily. Now, I also have this S4 version of the properties file. And this is a nice addition that came along in Spring 4, the property sources annotation. So this is different than property source. Property sources, it allows you to nest in a list of multiple property sources. And I like this approach if you're dealing with a lot of properties files. I've had enterprise projects where there's dozens of property files that you're dealing with, and it becomes quite large to wire everything together. And putting it in a list, it can get pretty hard to read. This is a little bit nicer on the eye when you're going back and trying to debug things. I feel this is a nice approach, nice addition to the Spring framework in version 4 that they added. And I also have a test here for this. You can see this test looks exactly the same, just pulling a different class file and configuration class file. I'm going to run this guy too, just show you that it runs. And he runs happy. And we can run all these tests. You can see that now I'm showing you there's multiple different ways that we've set up to inject properties into our little fake class here, but all of them work. Spring's happy with all those, and I could actually set this up and bring in all these objects into a Spring context using these different techniques. Okay, in this module I gave you a couple different ways of dealing with multiple property files, and what I want you to start seeing here is there are multiple ways of setting properties in Spring, and in a large project you're probably going to start encountering most of them, to be honest, if you're dealing in a large project. So that there isn't just one solution that fits all here by any means. You can mix and match these. You're absolutely free to mix these together. What Spring's doing in the context is it's going to be reading all this stuff in and building that into the context for you, and it's going to figure that out. So it has no problem. You could do 100 properties files if you needed to for your application. Spring would just be absolutely fine with that. So it does give you a lot of versatility in the configuration. I know that these past few sections might have been a little mundane, but I'm trying to show you how you can use multiple methods and also combine those methods. So you have a lot of tools in your toolbox when you're setting properties inside the Spring framework.